Hey everybody, Meteorologist Noah Bergren here. It's 3:30 on a Monday afternoon. Hope you're doing great out there. What's going on, everybody? Hope you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend with you and yours, your family, friends, anybody in your circle. Hope you had a great weekend. But we did have, unfortunately, not a great couple of evenings for storms. In fact, we had 2 days of a decent coverage of storms over the weekend, especially Saturday, which was kind of what was expected from last week. But definitely a lot of lightning and storms from over the weekend, but today things are tamer. That's the idea. Tamer storms and coverage today and tomorrow. And actually, by the end of the week, we're talking about a heat wave coming into Central Florida. So lots to go over tonight. Come on in, stay a while. Let me know where you're watching from. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Fox Local. Fox Local friends, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break here coming up at 3:43, and then after that, we'll keep cooking here with you until 58. Okay. Big storms and downpours. They're not severe, but they're good old peak of summer storms from Daytona Beach. And the stuff from Daytona is moving away. It's moving out over the ocean. Bottom left's Lake Fairview. It's pretty dry. Bottom right is Titusville. We had a small shower go by, but not much. And then the top right is from Orlando. And we are looking at downtown, where it's totally dry out there. So it just, again, really depends on where you are currently in terms of what we're looking at. And there's the view of the camera. So let's get back over towards the radar and take a look at things. So here's 3:33, and notice no severe weather. I don't really think that the risk of anything severe is pretty high. In fact, I think it's pretty minuscule. Weather Service did technically issue a warning there for Palm Coast, but from what I could tell, it wasn't anything too terribly bad, so good news to pass along there. So I'll turn off the town labels so you can see, first of all, everything is moving this way. Everything is moving from left to right on your screen. We have a big complex of storms here from Flagler Beach to Daytona, and then some developing storms here south of the theme parks, and these are going to be the ones that track by Orlando and out towards Brevard County by about 4 to 7 p.m. So if you're out ahead of these storms here, that's where there's going to be some good storms this evening. So we're tracking probably like something like this, I would say, for 4 to 7 p.m. for big storms in that area. Let me zoom in and show you where that is. So that would include Titusville, Orlando, Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach. What we're going to see is that these storms over Kissimmee, they move in, they interact with the sea breeze, and we'll get a big blow-up of storms. So if you're in Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, the eastern end of Orange County up towards Titusville, I'd expect there to be a growing amount of downpours and storms as we head through the evening tonight. Let me give you a quick little radar tour. You see here in the Melbourne area, this is a 30-minute loop, a little small, generic little downpour, but still lightning. Lightning is always dangerous. Any time of summer, we get a lot of it here in Central Florida and across Florida in the summer months. In the Melbourne area, a couple of flashes of lightning further back to the west. We've got this storm here in the Kissimmee and St. Cloud area. It just popped up, so it's a little bit more challenging to put a track on it because the speed is a little bit more erratic. But it's right now estimated about 20 miles an hour to the northeast. So if it holds on its trajectory like this, heads up in the Kissimmee area about 10 minutes for a downpour and some vivid lightning. St. Cloud about 3:52, Hunters Creek about 4:09, then Fells Cove, Lake Nona area closer to 4:15. So developing complex of downpours pushing northeast, heads up Kissimmee area, folks, about 10 minutes. St. Cloud maybe about 15, 18 minutes from now. We will track that one as well. This guy over here, this one is kind of just drifting a little bit more to the north. Probably a little bit faster. You can see coming into Palm Bay about 341, Melbourne about 349, Satellite Beach about 408, and then Patrick Space Force Base about 4:23 p.m. So we will track that as well. Zooming things out, I do want you to see the rest of the area is pretty dry. Further to the north, we are tracking these downpours and storms out there right now in Flagler and Volusia. But most of these have now passed offshore. In fact, you can see a lot of these are now out over the water, but still some big lightning here in Daytona Beach. And even though the core of the storm is offshore, there's still a lot of lightning going on. And in fact, I'll show you a picture of the camera here from a few minutes ago. This was a handful of minutes ago in Daytona Beach, and that's what it looked like. Yeah, that's a shelf cloud. Scary looking cloud, SLC. Kind of loose for it, but you get these almost daily with these big storms, and they look scary, they look ominous. You don't get tornadoes from these. You get a big surge of wind, big surge of rain, and sometimes some hail as that goes over your head. And that was about 8 minutes ago in the Daytona Beach area. So pull up a question, a comment, concern. Would love to hear from you. Let me pull up some of the comments here so I can see what you guys are talking about. It is hot out coming into work today. It is definitely July. We're already at the second week of July. But I do think we're going to have a very hot summer this year. It was a top 5 hottest June on record. I think July could end up similar. In fact, you're going to see in the forecast here in a few minutes, I think we're going to have a really hot stretch here as we go forward. So let me pull up some of your comments. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if I can see them now. There we go. Hi from Titusville, Harry. What's up? Hi from Chelmsford. Hello, Benjamin. How is everybody doing? Let me know where you're watching from. Lost Power, Karen Moore from Facebook. Well, tell me where so I can help track it for you here. We'd love to hear where that is. Rachel says St. Cloud is coming to us right now. Let me go back to St. Cloud and we'll track that for you here. So for those of you, Rachel, around St. Cloud, see, ask and you shall receive. We'll hook you right up here in the Fox 35 Weather Plus. Now, this is the danger of storms in Florida, right, in summer, is that you get, see right here, cloud-to-ground bolt of lightning that struck over the turnpike on the western side of St. Cloud. And it struck out of the clear air about 3 miles or 7 minutes ahead of the actual rain. So that's the dangers in Florida, is that you can often get cloud-to-ground lightning that can strike people, your house, miles ahead of the thunderstorm as it's approaching you. In fact, wow, it just updated again. Another bolt from the blue. Another bolt from the blue right over Neptune Road. You can see right here that symbol indicates a cloud-to-ground flash of lightning, and the rain is still back over here. So it's not even raining, and that lightning strike occurred almost 2.5 miles ahead of where it's even raining. So definitely that's what we're going to watch. Let me put a little bit of a better track on this for you in the St. Cloud area. So Rachel, let me give you a more specific ETA here. We'll do it about like this. So the center of St. Cloud, probably about 3:50 to 4 o'clock. 3:50 to 4, depending on which side of St. Cloud you're on. So maybe about 10 to 15 minutes for the downpour. Lake Nona High School about 4:23. The Kissimmee area about 3:49. So we'll keep an eye on that, Rachel, for you. But it doesn't look too terribly intense right now. And the stuff in Daytona, again, is sub-severe. So let me give you an outline of what we're tracking today. And I put a little patriotic USA theme on here because obviously we've got the World Cup out there tonight, and it's a huge day for Team USA after the 4th of July weekend. So we're cheering for them here as we go forward. So I just wanted to keep the patriotic theme, which don't forget, you'll see that here coming up tonight on Fox, right here, Fox 35 in Central Florida. All right, so lots of typical storms today and tomorrow. We had 2 severe storm warnings in Flagler County. I haven't even heard of any reports yet. Some small hail, I think there was. So it's just, for the most part, average storms today and tomorrow. Now we're going to see dropping rain chances later this week. In fact, by the upcoming weekend, we're talking about potentially record heat in parts of Florida. For us, I think it's just hotter than normal. to potentially much hotter than normal. I don't know if we'll actually set records in Orlando this weekend, but we're definitely talking about 96 to 99 degree highs. Heat index maybe 106 to 112 range, and it's going to be extremely hot starting later this week, through the weekend, and into early next week. And the third thing is, too, the tropical Atlantic is just dead quiet. In fact, there is nothing going on. Zero, zilch, nada, and it don't look like it's going to be here for a while. So that is good news indeed. So here's the temperatures right now, and you can see it's nothing significant. In fact, the average high this time of the year is 92, so pretty much what you'd expect where it hasn't rained yet. It's 93 in Titusville, 93 in Orlando, 94 in St. Cloud, 93 in Kissimmee. In the heat index, again, you can tell where there's been no showers, right, based on the temperature map. It's just 77 in DeLand, but it's 108 in Titusville, 105 in Bethel, 102 in Kissimmee, and 100 in Orlando. So by later this week, we're going to add a lot of heat and humidity here, and these heat index values will definitely be higher as we go forward. So here's the future cast. We'll pick it up here. Here's 4 o'clock. Let me give you the updated model. So here's the 4 o'clock future cast. I think the takeaway here is that here's 5, 6, 7. Let me scrub it back and forth. So here's 4, here's 5, 6. The point is that the storms are moving west to east. And for the evening rush, 5, 6, 7 o'clock tonight, it's mostly going to be Flagler, Volusia, Eastern Orange, Osceola, and Brevard counties. These areas for some vivid lightning, gusty wind, small hail, the typical summer storms, rainy season kind of thing here, moving this way. Now, in terms of who's not going to get anything, Ocala, the Villages, Sumter, Lake counties, Gainesville, it's going to stay pretty dry and should remain dry. In fact, I feel hard-pressed to see much of any rain at all in those areas as we go forward in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages as we go probably through the evening. But on the beaches, definitely we could see some storms through about 8, 9 o'clock. All right, so Fox Local friends, you're going to see a quick 2-minute break. Then we'll be right back here on our Fox 35 Weather Plus. Hey there, Facebook, YouTube friends. Thanks for sticking with me here. I'm going to keep chatting with you as our Fox Local stream heads off to a quick 2-minute break. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day out there today. Let me pull up some more of your comments now while we're looking. In fact, I put the 4-panel camera here, and I do want to talk about the extended forecast. We'll get into that here in a couple of minutes. So there's the view right now. It just depends on where you are. Let me get the comments pulled back up here. Everybody's having a wonderful day today. Rachel's got a good comment. Let me pull that back up. So Rachel says, I've got friends visiting from Seattle. They have been staying in Daytona Beach, and it's rained them out every day they've been here. Well, Rachel, I'm sorry to hear that. But that's the perk of visiting Florida, or the downside of visiting Central Florida in middle of June through the end of August is that 80% of those days you're going to have rain in them. Now, none of the days are washouts. All of those days, even the wettest day in rainy season, there's still a big chunk of the day that's dry. So, very rarely do we get a true day where it's raining the whole day, or even more than half the day in Central Florida in the summer months. But yeah, that's what happens. Some summers are going to be a little bit more or a little bit less than others, but the average is, the majority of mid-June to the end of August, there's rain daily and downpours daily. Not quite like Seattle, a little bit heavier, a bit more convective way of the rain as opposed to a lighter rain, but definitely for sure we've got that. Here's a good question. Largo, I think, should be fine. Largo should be fine. Pull this up. Wesley's got a question here. So our Fox Local friends are going to come back in a second. So I'm going to wait 10 seconds, and then we're going to join them here coming up in a couple of seconds. So stay with me real quick. Hey there, Fox Local friends. Thanks for sticking with us here after that quick 2-minute break. So I did want to run through some of your questions, which if you're watching on Fox Local and you want to chime in, I've got our comments and the feed pulled up on Facebook and YouTube. So let me pull one up here from Wesley and says, how about MCO? Well, that's a great question because I was visiting some family up north over the weekend, and from over the weekend, I came back last night, and I had a very long evening of flying. There were delays because of storms around Orlando. My inbound flight was from Charleston and then to Nashville to where I was coming from, and then with the construction at MCO and parking debacles, so a very late night for me last night. So if you're asking about MCO and flight delays, I have some sympathy because there's been a lot of weather-induced delays at the airports recently. And let me pull up our airport delay tracker and see what we've got on here right now. I don't think there's anything too terribly significant right now. In fact, oddly enough, our airport thing is not loading right now, so I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that here once I'm off this stream, but it does look like there could be some minor delays again at MCO tonight, but it would probably be from this storm here, so gonna get tricky. So you see this storm here, who has that? Wesley. This storm here is tracking right for the airport, and that'll cause some delays, definitely, because flights can't land or come in, take off when there's a thunderstorm like this over the runways. So this will definitely cause some headaches. And let me track this for you here. Let's get a. Yeah, I don't think this is loading yet. Let's see if I can put this on. Okay, so we're going to track this at about the speed that they've all been moving today, which is about 15 to 20. We'll just split the difference, call it 18. Yeah, so maybe a little bit after 4:10, there could be some delays at MCO because of this inbound thunder shower. Now let me stop this and bring you over to the higher radar here. This is the radar actually out of the Orlando International Airport, which the radar coincidentally is right here. So it's a lot closer to this thunderstorm than the other radars that we have. Gives us a better view basically of the thunderstorm. Where you see green, that's wind going towards the radar, and red is away. So actually what we have here is a downburst, and right in the middle, that's where you can get 40 plus mile per hour gusts. And that's in the Campbell area over towards Davenport, right off of Point Siena, Ham Brown Road, Pleasant Hill Road. Because what happens is the air rushes down out of the thunderstorm, hits the ground, and then rushes out in both directions. And when that happens, you get really strong wind gusts. In fact, you can see there 33. These are the sustained winds, 33, 30. So there's definitely some gusts in the 40 range here around Kissimmee, Campbell, and then over towards the eastern rural parts of Davenport. But this wind is moving that way. That wind is moving that way, all from within the thunderstorm. And kind of in the center, the air rushes down. So that's what we're watching there. And this storm is strengthening. We're now up to 3:48 p.m. and we've got 94 bolts of lightning. So it wouldn't be a shock if this storm gets a little gnarlier towards the St. Cloud and Kissimmee area. Also these over by Melbourne. Then the ones by Daytona are pushing out. So again, if you're just joining us through the rest of the evening, the areas of the greatest chance of storms is going to be Orange County, Osceola, Brevard, and far southern Volusia. It's those areas. If you're outside of that circled area, the villages, Deltona, Lake Mary, Sanford, Ocala, Gainesville, it's likely pretty dry at this point through the remainder of the evening, based on what I can tell right now. So let me pull up the comments here. Hello. Mark has a question here. That's true, Charleston. If they're from Seattle, they should be accustomed to rain. A little bit heavier rain rates, though, here than the more mundane, drawn-out, lighter rain rates in Seattle. But Mark says, the outlook midweek is for storms to subside for a couple of days. What do you think? I agree. In fact, I think it's going to be a heat wave here by Thursday and Friday. We're going to have some real big heat. The rain chances come down. Temperatures go up. Let me pull up the Fox model here. I'll zoom it out. Now, the Fox model is a little bit off today. You can see here by 7, it develops these storms. These storms are already happening, and it's not going to look like this. So I try to be honest and give you the view of the futurecast because we all have weather apps on our phone, and they're all pulling from a variety of different specific weather computer models. And in Florida, we're probably the most prone state to these models being off because not all of them update every hour, and if they're old, 6 or 8 hours old, they often give you a false impression of the radar. In fact, this is not going to look like this at 7. So We'll just skip past this for tonight because, as you just saw, the current radar, these storms are already popping up. They're going to be out on the I-95 corridor by the evening tonight. So we'll just skip past quickly through tonight. We'll bring up tomorrow. We'll see how this looks for tomorrow. So here's the morning, dry. Notice tomorrow a scattering of downpours and storms. Here's 8 o'clock. Let me zoom it in and let you see it again. Here's 3:30 for the commute, 4 or 5. Probably a fair assumption, I think. Things will move this way, kind of southwest to northeast across central Florida once they pop up, the downpours and storms. But nothing too terribly major. Now, Wednesday, the chances start to go down. Well, they should go down. And then going into Thursday, they go down even more. In fact, yeah, here's Thursday. You see here's 6, 7 o'clock. Most of the state is dry. In fact, yeah, there's this one little thunderstorm over Daytona in Marion County, but the majority of the state you see here for Thursday is dry. We start to get a heat dome that builds in. So I would say typical storms today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Thursday and beyond, Mark, rain chances come way down, heat goes way up. Now, we're talking about a heat index 105 to 112, air temperatures 96 to 100. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and potentially into next week as well. So that's definitely going to be our next weather headline as we go forward. Let me bring it back to the long-range view here. I do want to hit this up really quick just because it is hurricane season, even though it's not in the forefront of the news. We have a lot of Saharan dust across the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, you can look here. I'll just give you a quick tropical update for like a minute. This is the satellite and the clouds. So the clouds are white, and then the dust is brown. Saharan dust comes off of Africa, which is over here, every June and July. In some years, it moves further across the Atlantic than others. And right now, that Saharan dust plume is all the way almost into South Florida. And you can see the dust comes like this across Florida. This is all dust. And what that does is puts a lid on hurricane development. You don't even get hardly thunderstorms. In fact, if you look out here, there's really not even a lot of clouds in most of the Atlantic basin. So things are quiet, and there's nothing really going on out there right now. So tropical weather outlook for the next 7 days, there's nothing. In fact, I don't even have a model to show you that there could be anything anytime soon. So I would say no concerns really in the tropics for a while, at least the way it looks right now. I'm going to bring it back to the radar here for the evening. So there we go. I'm checking out the cameras. Yeah, we don't have anything too major. All right, so pull up. Let me know what you're wondering about. Questions, comments, concerns. Love to hear from everybody here. We always appreciate you watching. Stephanie's got a good question here. Let's see. Pull this up here. Stephanie says, lots of lightning here in Ormond, Daytona. Was thankful for some rain. Yes, Stephanie, you got a good amount of rain there in Daytona. So Stephanie in Daytona, let's pull up the rain here. In fact, in Daytona Beach, yeah, pretty good, decent rain totals here. You can see Holly Hill, about 1.5 inches, 0.25 in Daytona, 0.1 in Daytona Beach. Yeah, so decent rain today. But yeah, back to the rest of the evening, the outlook for the rest of the evening. Storms should mostly be on the eastern side of the state. So my advice to you when you go into your Storm Team app, let me pull it up here. So in the app here, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb so you don't get any notifications on the feed here. So when you're in the app, I'll give you a quick little delve into this. So when you're in the app here. Okay, my internet's being slow. I'll give it a second. I promise it'll load here. Hang on. Okay, it's not loading. My internet's a little bit slow. When you're in the app, when you click map, if you loop it based on the past, it's going to be a more accurate representation for you to plan your evening in the rainy season here. Because once you click the button that says future, you're not looking at the real radar anymore. You're looking at a computer model, which those computer models can vary greatly, and they're not always the best portrayal of how things will play out. So as I get this question a lot, we get this question a lot with the phone weather radar apps and how they look and forecasting. My advice is to, when you're in here, loop the radar from the past hour and just look at where things are going. Because as soon as you click that button that says, future radar, you're using a model and not the real radar anymore. Because sometimes there can be really big differences between them, and then it doesn't always line up. So that's just my 2 cents of advice there. So let me pull up a couple more comments. Good one, Stephanie. You saw the rain there from Daytona was pretty significant. An inch and a half in like 20 minutes. Pretty good rain. Definitely. So get some more comments in here. One from YouTube. Great. We've got a couple of minutes left here. I want to pull this one up here. So on YouTube, when do you expect Apopka North to rain? Apopka North to rain. Well, probably not today at this point. Zeus 4C. So here you are in Apopka. There's Apopka, and I'll zoom out so you can see. I'll circle Apopka for you. There's nothing. In fact, if you look to your west, there's nothing coming. I think through the rest of the day it's dry in Apopka. I'd say tomorrow you're going to get a storm there, Zeus. It's so dry in the yard lately. Tuesday we received our first hard rain. Yeah, look, that's generally how it goes here in the rainy season, is that 1 week it favors a handful of towns, the next week it moves to another handful of towns, and then you kind of get the seesaw effect. And by the end of the summer, it all balances out, but there can be big differences. But I do want to leave you with this. This is our biggest storm on the board right now. It's in Kissimmee, Campbell. It's not severe. I'm just going to check quick the radar here so I'm not missing anything. Yeah, but there's some good winds, good outflow winds from this storm in Kissimmee. In fact, I'll zoom you in here and let you see right in Kissimmee. Yeah, we've got some wind of 40 miles an hour. So there is some good wind rushing out of this storm, moving to the northeast in Kissimmee. So heads up for some 40-mile-an-hour gusts there. I'll put a track on this for you here. This storm northeast at about 18. So Fox Local friends, thank you for watching. I'll see you back here coming up tomorrow at 3:30, and I'll have much more for you tonight on WRBW, and then later tonight as well on air and online, and always on Fox Local. So stay dry tonight. I'll be tracking storms for you. I'll have more for you coming up at 5. YouTube, Facebook fans, thanks for sticking with us. Just to put a quick bow tie on things for today, here is the one storm that's kind of big right now. It's going to push towards Disney, Oak Ridge, St. Cloud, Kissimmee. So if you're around Epcot, let me get a little bit better tracker on this. I'm going to put it, because this will impact a lot of people. This area has a big percentage of the density of our population in Central Florida. So over here by Animal Kingdom, coming up here in about 10-15 minutes. Epcot, maybe about 4:15. There's going to be some lightning and thunder in the area, maybe a thunderstorm. Over towards SeaWorld, closer to maybe like 4:30. So if you're anywhere around Animal Kingdom, Disney Springs, heads up for a storm there. Further back to the east around Hunter's Creek, St. Cloud, the theme parks, we're still looking at downpours and storms. But for right now, this is a strong storm and one that is subsevere, so we'll keep an eye on that one over the next little while. So you have a great rest of your day. I've got to get ready for the news at 4 and then some other things, and I'll see you coming up tonight later. And as always, if there's any warnings, I'll pop on to Facebook and YouTube as well. So have a great rest of your day. We always appreciate you watching, and keep it tuned here on the Storm Team. We'll have always the weather that you need to keep you safe. Talk soon.